Let's discuss what's going on right now in the UFC. It's with Conor McGregor, and Conor does so many things right. He's kind of hard to critique. He's even rewritten the book on some things, but he does stumble along the way. If you look at history, it's the greatest trajectory for the future. Conor has put himself in a spot where he believes, in some ways, that he is bigger than the company. What I mean by that is that he can control the company. As big as Conor is, and he's huge. As big as Conor is, though, per capita, if you will, historically, he is not as big right now as Tito Ortiz was in 2005. When they were putting on 5 and 6 shows a year, if you weren't headlining the show, people weren't watching. You were the face of the UFC, and you were the draw, period. And when you went your different ways, they moved on. They moved on, and it got a little vicious, but they did move on, and Conor's experience in some of that. What do you, with that in mind, with your own experience in mind, and the fact that for the time, you were a bigger draw than Conor is for this time. You were the whole, that's just the truth. You were the whole thing at one point. Where's he going wrong? What should Conor do different here?
Well, I think not asking for too much, but I just asking for enough where UFC makes their big money, and he still makes big money. But, Conor is, he's 30 years old or 29?
I think he's 28. Tito, I think he's only 28.
He's only 28. Well, let him sit out for a little bit, then let him see how much money the other fighters can make at the UFC, which they can. UFC are... They are the star. They're going to make the money, and they're keep bringing more and more fighters in. Conor's going to miss out on a year or two, and he'll have to cave in and ask what Dana and Lorenzo want him to do. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I made some bad decisions with UFC with Dana, and I've been talked bad about from Dana. And I look back on it, and I wish I would have done things a lot different. I don't know. I hope Conor makes the right decisions, and at the same time, but makes a decision for his future. We're fighters. We go out there, we'll have a window of opportunity only open for so long, and we got to take advantage of that time right then. When I did it, I was 30, 31 years old, and maybe it was a little too late that I should have did it, but I did it right. I was okay with the money that I got, the money I made. So I don't know. Hopefully Conor makes the right decision.
So you said something interesting there. You said, maybe he needs to sit out a little bit, but eventually he's going to have to cave. Now, I agree with you on that. The show is going to go on. That's one thing we learned. We learned that largely from when you went through it. You were the first one to really challenge the system. And now here we are a decade later, but that's the way it's going to have to work. It's like, Conor, you're going to have to blink. He's like a guy at a car lot that sells 30 cars last month, and now all of a sudden he thinks he should own the dealership. It's like, man, it doesn't work that way. You're a salesman, but they got other salesmen, and the car lot's going to stay open either way. If you want your own car lot, go get one.
Yeah, but there ain't many car lots like Conor McGregor. The kid talks well. He fights great. Nick Diaz put him a Stockton slap on him. I won a bunch of money on that fight. I knew it. You can't bump up a couple weights like the way Conor did. Conor's a great fighter at 145, 155, but not at 170. That's almost close to impossible. But the kid talks well. I've always been a big fan of him. Since the very beginning, I've been a big fan of him. He talks the talk and he walks the walk, and he backs it up on fight time. So, I think he is one of the guys that deserve that extra money just because he goes out and then he talks. There's so many fighters that say, well, I think I should do that. Well, go do PR. Go do the stuff that you're one of the guys. We're one of the best guys. You came right after me, Chael. Just learn how to talk. Talking the way, people understood, the simple people at home that understood what you're trying to get across. I remember back when you fought Anderson Silva the first time, I said, keep getting under their skin, and don't stop because people will love it. And, look how that turned out. It turned out great, man, for you. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
I think Conor should just stick his ground,
I think he should, too. I really agree with you. Now, it's hard to do. He's already blinked a little bit. He told him, look, it's this way or else, and now he's taken to social media and gone, hey, put me back in there. This isn't fair. And it's like, well, you make a good point, but if you're in a negotiation, you're sitting at the table, and as soon as you blink, and that's what once you start begging, hey, put me on this card that I just told you I'm not going to do, I think it gets you in a tough spot. It's like, look, let's drop the gig, come out and sign the contract, and let's just move forward and pretend this didn't happen. Let's just chalk it up to you're young and caught you on a bad day and move on. Isn't the sooner he comes to that conclusion, the better? Because to your point, he's going to come to that conclusion eventually. The window's small.
Yes, the window's really, really small. I think the best decision is doing, what Lorenzo and Dana want him to do. They're going to take care of the kid as they've already done. And I think it's just going to be better if they just do the right things. I made the wrong decision myself through my career as I've tried to battle against the system. I should have never done that. But I didn't have anybody else who showed me how to do it before. I did everything on just instinct, on what I thought was. You know, I grew up as a child myself. I never had any trust in my family. You know, my parents were horrible. My mother kind of gave me a second chance in life when I was 13, and I could never trust anybody through my whole life. So when I got to UFC, the same thing came about. I could never trust anybody. Even now, in life, in general, I mean, there's maybe 5 people in my that I could think of that I could trust, and the rest of people I can never trust. I've had friends who turned their back on me, people who stole from me, who said that when I borrow some money, I give it back to you, and never give you back the money. I can't count the people like that. So trust has always been a hard issue in my life. And when I was with the UFC, it was hard for me to trust people because it was like I was just seeing lies after lies to lies. You know, I think at this time, Conor's a person should trust Lorenzo and should trust Dana and do the right decision.
I think so too, but I still come back. I think you are the finest example. You know, again, as big as Conor is, it was the Tito Ortiz show. I mean, they'd move dates around if you couldn't fight. I remember being a fan. We weren't buying the pay-per-view. You know, we'd be in the locker rooms at University of Oregon after wrestling practice. We weren't talking about it if Tito wasn't headlining it. It's just the way that it was. And I think that the point that you brought up of hey, I didn't have anyone to show me a way. There's a relevance to that because as you went through those stumbles, none of us knew how that was going to turn out. It had never been done before. You were the first guy. So I think you get a full pass on that. I think they should go, oh, okay, even Tito looks at it and goes, well, I'm out here stumbling around. I don't really know what I'm doing either. And then a lot of us that were to come along, right after you, we could learn from that. Yeah, good, bad, or indifferent on anything, but we could learn from that. So I just feel like, Conor's so young, he's doing everything so right, but his history lesson isn't the same. Here, let me use another example, Tito. You and I, when guys come to the table and they want $1 million, that's normal for them to try to get. If they end up with a couple $100,000 or $250,000, they're pissed off. Then you get guys like you and I that are sitting there going, no, wait a minute. You don't know what it used to be like down at the dog park with no commission, no gloves, no weigh-ins, limited rules, and no paycheck at the end of the night. You don't know what it's like to make a couple $100,000 in a night, man. You're doing really well.
Right. But I think it really comes down to the your longevity, how long you be in the sport. This job how to pay for your future, and that's what I came about. And I ended up coming back as my job need to pay for not my future, but my children's future. I have 3 boys. I want to make sure they have everything I never had as a kid. So it's saving my money, doing the right things, investing in the right areas, but at the same time not being crazy by spending my money the wrong way. And I've been in this game for almost 19 years. Actually, the 30th of this month will be 19 years that I've been competing. And I can look back on it, and I made some bad decisions. I've made some great decisions, but, at the end of the day,